pastor, Rob Bell, organized a whole series of short, inspirational Christian film clips to inspire faith-lived conversations called Pneuma. The name Pneuma comes from a phonetic spelling of the Greek word pneumaia, meaning wind, spirit, or breath. Rob Bell writes, Jesus lived with the awareness that God is doing something right here, right now, and everybody can be a part of it. He encouraged his listeners to search, to question, to wrestle with the implications of what he was saying and doing. Jesus inspired, challenged, agitated, provoked, comforted, and invited people to be open to God's work in this world. Wherever Jesus went, whatever he did, Jesus started discussions about what matters most. Because for Jesus, God is always inviting us to open our eyes and join in. We join in by recognizing the breath of God in the discipline of partaking and remembering Jesus' death and rising for the world. We remember this through communion, remembering the Holy Spirit living in us through our baptism, and living our cup to the fullest with Christ as the center. Breath is precisely what Jesus comes to give his disciples. Breath is given not only to his disciples, his friends who followed him to the end and hardly know what to do now. They lock their doors for fear of the Jews, and reeling as they are from all that has occurred, and struggling to discern what happens next. He breathed on them. John tells us in his gospel, more than any words could have done, this breath comes as a gift, as grace. Christ's own breath that bears to them the Spirit that will enable them to keep living, to keep breathing, to proclaim the astonishing news of the risen Christ, and to be his body in this world. There are two main issues at stake in this portrait of the disciples. The first is the question of whether the disciples achieved perfect or complete belief following Jesus' resurrection. Jesus has spoken of a future time when the disciples would know, testify, and do greater works than Jesus had done. Although they manifest doubt during Jesus' earthly life, the hope is that in a future time, the disciples would overcome these deficiencies. The breath of God is definitely needed here. However, the disciples are not presented simply as believers, even after Jesus' resurrection, even after his first appearance and the gift of the Holy Spirit. They proclaim the Easter message. We have seen the Lord, they say, but their actions do not fully match their understanding. Although the narrator proclaims, blessed the one who has not seen and yet has believed is true of none of Jesus' disciples, they all have physically seen Jesus, yet still struggle with believing. Even Thomas's confession of, my Lord and my God, does not mark the completion of his faith. His statement is a significant confession, but it's not the end of the story. In the next chapter, Thomas is named as one of 7 disciples. And the pattern is very familiar. They initially do not recognize Jesus, but come to understand him. Yet they finish with the question about his identity that they dare not ask, even as they know the answer. The disciples embody a belief that reaches toward, but never quite achieves complete understanding of Jesus. Sounds familiar? I like to. With every inhale of breath brings new life to us, and through our exhale, Jesus purifies the air with his death and resurrection. The second theological question these verses raise explicitly is the reader's relationship to Jesus' disciples. What is expected of later followers of Jesus, and should they understand themselves as like or unlike the disciples in the story? Some interpreters imagine the disciples here are a limited group of the 12, minus Judas, who are commissioned as official apostles with particular duties that raise them above the level of the average believer. Jesus' words to them, "If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them," reinforce the perception for many that the disciples have a unique role. And just as we are baptized in Christ, we have a unique role too. That being said, the pneuma, breath of Jesus, is on us too. And we are called to love God, to love others, and to share that good news. But what then does it mean for Jesus to breathe out the Holy Spirit and tell this larger group of disciples, "If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them"? The passage is a commissioning scene, but it's a commissioning of the church as a whole, not as an elite group of leaders. The language seems to grant broad powers to the church to forgive or retain sins. And it may help to remember that throughout John's Gospel, sin has referred to the rejection of Jesus and his ministry. Jesus' presence already reveals and condemns people's belief or unbelief. In Jesus' absence, the church, meaning universal, steps into this role. The image is not a narrow one of a priest assigning penance, but a broader recognition that the church becomes the arbiter of acceptance or rejection of Jesus. Even so, part of our modern difficulty may be that Jesus leaves this authority in the hands of the disciples, who are not themselves free from sin. Jesus knows the difficulty, yet still breathes the Holy Spirit on them. The disciples, and us included, need God's pneuma every single day. Jesus seems to be very well at this, having positioned the story of commissioning in the midst of the disciples' struggle to come to terms with the resurrection faith. Instead of trying to solve the problem of this responsibility granted to the church, I would say instead that the passage seems consistent with John's portrait of the Bible, of the disciples. They are called to do much more than they are capable of. Yet they occasionally achieve great clarity, and in those moments, they manifest the hope of the resurrection. Here on this side of Easter Sunday, what deep breath do you need to take? How will you open yourselves to the risen Christ, who comes to breathe the Spirit of life into you?